Hey, welcome or welcome back to the channel. It's Don, and today is my last day of class of teaching crisis intervention. For those of you who didn't know, I taught a class for the spring 2022 semester for an MSW program here at a local state school. And I must say that it's been a phenomenal experience overall. I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed it much better than my other experience where I was teaching at the BSW level. And that class was, so with the MSW program, it was synchronous, it was in person, while the BSW program was asynchronous online. I just did much better in person, and on the MSW level, I'll explain why later in the video, but right now I just got home. I'm working from home, and I am just dropped Sunny off, and I dropped my mom off. So I am getting ready to eat breakfast. I treated myself to a frappe caramel from McDonald's. I absolutely love those. And then I got the 2 for 2, so just like a $5 total meal. So I'm gonna have that, and then we can talk a little bit more afterwards. Hey, so I am on campus getting ready to teach the final class of the semester. It's flown by so fast, but I couldn't be happier with how my first semester of teaching the MSW program turned out. I'm going to do a sit down with you all to explain a little bit more, but again, I just wanted to let you all know that I'm walking to class and I am prepping to have the last session. The last session is really going to be geared towards answering any questions that they may have, or just kind of imparting final thoughts and information with them, and then maybe providing assistance with anyone struggling with their final paper in conjunction to just giving them space to write and finish up their paper. But I will see you all after class, and we'll talk a little bit more. Sitting down, full transparency. It is the next day. I woke up early this morning and said, I promised you all a sit down video. I ran out of class because I was there a little bit longer than I expected to be. So by the time I was done helping students with their papers and starting on grading, things of that sort, I was just ready to go. I didn't even get my last picture from being inside the classroom. So here I am at home the next day. Also, that beeping sound is not a dead battery in a fire alarm. That's our alarm system. So for all the shady folks out there, please know that not every beep is an indicator of your alarm needing to be changed. I'll just kind of jump into the meat and potatoes of this video. So really, I just really wanted to say what I loved about teaching, what I found challenging about teaching, and ultimately, like, some general tips for those interested in teaching, and then final thoughts. And so to begin, I absolutely love teaching because I always had the desire to teach. Even no matter what field I was in, I always was like, I want to teach. I want to give back in that way. And so it feels like a service for me. So when I was teaching, it's really a mentorship opportunity. And I know some people say that, like, if you can't do, you teach. That's the biggest load of crap, because you're literally molding the next generation of that field to go out and have a further reach than you may be able to have as an individual. Being able to provide mentorship, provide guidance, provide information, affirm students, encourage students, educate students about various topics, I personally felt fulfilled and it felt really rewarding. The particular thing that I loved about teaching this semester was the fact that I taught crisis intervention. Crisis intervention was a really important class for me to teach because that's not a class that I was taught in graduate school. That's not any training that I received in graduate school. I did like the mental health first aid training, but I did not do any suicide prevention and suicide intervention specific training. So I felt personally connected to ensure that students felt equipped to handle a crisis, whether it's suicide ideation or it's suicide loss or suicide prevention or other forms of crises such as community violence, intimate partner violence, adverse childhood experiences. These were all things that I personally and professionally felt was important for students to be connected to, as well as educated in, and to be able to teach on such a high level at a prominent school in the Chicagoland area was also affirming to me that I am the clinician that I sought out to be, and that I am who I am despite, or not even despite, but in spite of some naysayers, some individuals who may not been the most supportive. And it just goes to show that what's for you is for you. That I could go on and on and on, but I think I'll stop there. But just know that it's something that I really enjoyed, and it's something that I can't wait to do again. The other thing I forgot to mention was I really loved just also building the critical thinking and reasoning skills of my students. I really felt like I was kind of training them to be investigators, and you know, they're not attorneys, but I definitely was channeling some inner Annalise Keating, because I really just challenged my students to think critically and to be able to engage in the process of elimination and just making sound decision and using logic as a clinician, which was not done in my graduate school experience. So I'm really proud about that. I also believe that I really strengthened like my students' writing skills, and just their ability to dive deep into a particular topic. And the other thing that I felt was arguably most important was their confidence, really building their confidence to be able. So I, similar to like law school, I did implement a cold call system, and I'd randomly call on students in class to answer various questions that I had, because I wanted my students to just be able to trust their instinct, trust their gut, to follow their intuition. And I learned that not everybody was receiving that type of training. So that's something that I also really pride myself in and was happy about. The writing and the evaluation skills, I mean, there's so many different skills that they learned in this class. I shared with them so many different resources. I did not over intellectualize the class. I made it very practical, very useful, so very practice based. but research informed and evidence based and evidence informed. And so I'm really proud of that. On to the challenges. So there's definitely some challenges. I think the biggest one is, as a professor, you definitely have to have your time management skills underway, because you're dealing with 20 to 25, however many students you have, personalities and schedules and just various learning styles. So adjusting to that challenge was really interesting, and also learning like what works for me and what didn't work for me. Like managing an email for a class, just no. So students got my number really quickly and was like, hey, if you email me, send me a text to let me know that you emailed me. If this email could have been a text or a quick phone call, do that. If we need to schedule office hours, let's do that. So that was a challenge that I overcame, but it was definitely a challenge nonetheless. In terms of the learning style, definitely not being afraid to present the opportunity for students to ask questions, to share their concerns, to walk them through any issues that they were having, connecting them to resources on campus such as the University Counseling Center, as well as the Office of Disability Services, and ensuring that they're receiving care. So there was, again, a lot of different challenges, but I do wholeheartedly believe that you can achieve your goals and you can overcome those challenges. There were definitely a lot of technological challenges that I had to troubleshoot. I won't share all of them on here, but just know that there were some technological challenges that we overcame, or we just, we had to kind of go a different route. You learn to definitely be flexible. Now that I talked about some of the challenges, I think I said that I would talk about just like tips for those interested in teaching. If you're interested in teaching, I think one of the biggest things that you can do is to identify your teaching philosophy. Now, what is a teaching philosophy? This is basically the things that you deem essential for student success and how to achieve student success. Some opportunities require you to submit a teaching philosophy, others do not. If you are interested in receiving help and receiving assistance and support in crafting your teaching philosophy, crafting your resume and cover letter for a teaching position, I'm more than happy to work with you. That would be under the professional development section of my page, where you can make an appointment. The link will be in the description box below, and I'd love to be able to help you. Remember, this is not my first class that I taught. This is my third class. This is my first MSW course, but I taught 2 BSW courses prior. And if you also are wanting to learn more about just creating connections and building relationships, because for this particular position, and really for both of my positions, I did not apply. One I was referred, and another one I was recruited for. So it's important to build relationships, at least from my experience, because there's going to be a lot of different people applying, and if you can get connected to the source, you really get to bypass all of that. And that's what I did. So if you're interested in working with me, please be sure to click the link in the description box below, and I'll be more than happy to work with you. Final thoughts. My final thoughts is that I love teaching. I'd definitely teach again. I'm not scheduled for anything in the summer. This class was 16 weeks from January to May. And I have until May 18th or May 13th, one of the two, to get all of my papers graded and submitted and finalized, which I am not going to procrastinate on. That's also another challenge of like grading assignments, because what you assign is what's going to be submitted, and that's what you're going to have to grade. So for this last paper, the average page length is like 13 pages times 23 students. So that's like a book. Like that's, over 230 pages. So that's a book. And so I'm going to have to be able to read not only fast, but like concise and succinct, which won't be a problem. But again, that's like something you should think about. It's like the grading component. So I won't procrastinate on that. My final thoughts are that I love teaching. I think on the part-time basis, like I absolutely loved that secondary income, like that really allowed us to do some things personally, like through some checks towards debt, through some checks towards leisure. So it just really allows you to do more things, because our life is already budgeted without that income. And so having that additional income really allowed for us to do that. The other thing that I'd say is that it's great to be affiliated with a large system like a university, because let's say I'm interested in applying for like a university counseling position or a director position, or maybe a student affairs or full-time faculty position. Employers typically ask if you've previously worked with that organization before, or are you currently employed with them? And if you say yes, then that's amazing, and you're able to, that's kind of like a leg up, if you will. The other thing is you may be able to apply as an internal candidate for some positions, or internal applicant, which could work to your advantage as well. So depending on where you teach, you could receive benefits from the institution, including but not limited to like tuition reimbursement and professional development opportunities. You also can count your teaching towards your CEUs as well, but every state is different. So I'll link that in the description box if I can find more information about that. So that concludes this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and comment in the comment section below if you like to teach. If so, why, and what class have you taught, or what you'd like to teach. And if you are a student or soon to be student, share what are some traits that you're looking for in a professor, and what do you think is most meaningful or helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you next time, be you, be great.